everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Food and Farm Show. I'm Gil Dominguez.
And I'm Cheryl Noble. Tonight we're coming to you from Nevada City at the Stone House, where we are at the third annual Food Love Project, which is part of the Living Lands Agrarian Network.
This organization operates several farms in our area, and their focus is not only to sell local produce, but also to educate our young children, and they have farm trips to come out so children can see how food grows, and they have programs made for different age levels.
Tonight also we continue our series on backyard chickens with Janie Powers.
And then later in the show, we're going to go to our propagation workshop that we did at Anything Green.
Be sure to join us every Monday evening at 6:30 p.m. on NCTV Channel 11 and Sunlink 16 and ACTV Channel 20. You can also find us streamed on the web at nevadacountytv.org and also 24/7 on our YouTube channel, which is the Food and Farm Show.
Right after the break, Cheryl will be joining Leo Chapman, the president of Living Lands, and I'll have a chance to talk with Amanda Thibodeau, the organizer of this event. You're watching the Food and Farm Show right here on the Touchdown Productions Network. Nevada County Farm Supply has been part of the agricultural scene since 1993. Their staff consists of a certified crop advisor, licensed pest control advisor, and irrigation auditor. In Penn Valley, they have a full-service nursery with over 500 varieties of plants and garden enhancements. In Grass Valley, they have a warehouse full of soil amendments, fertilizers, and nutrients. Nevada County Farm Supply, powerful knowledge and innovative solutions.
Anything Green Hydroponics is your source for hydro systems, grow lights, and soils. Anything Green offers a complete range of organic nutrients as well as fungicides, miticides, and predatory bugs. Anything Green Hydroponics has just received this year's soil. Get your totes, pallets, or individual bags. Stay tuned for future workshops. It's all at Anything Green Hydroponics.
Briar Patch Co-op Natural Foods Community Market offers organic produce from over 30 regional farms and buys local organic produce from farms like River Hill, Sweet Roots, First Rain, Pyramid, and Mooney Flat. You can trust the Patch to hold their producers to the highest standards and always be certified organic. So get to the Patch, the Briar Patch, for organic produce.
Spring is here. Time to visit the Garden Center at A to Z Supply. We have everything you need to plant it, grow it, preserve it, and eat it. With a master gardener and full-time beekeepers on staff, the Garden Center carries a wide selection of organic plants, along with people and pet-friendly products. And don't forget our weekly workshops at the Garden Center at A to Z Supply.
Welcome back to the Food and Farm Show. Leo Chapman is the co-founder of the Living Lands Agrarian Network. His business experience and farming abilities have helped shape this organization. Our very own Cheryl Noble had a chance to catch up with him tonight.
Thank you so much, Leo, for taking time from the fundraiser to talk with me.
You're welcome.
So I want to know a little bit about your background and your experience in farming.
Well, I'm a first-generation farmer. I have a background in construction. When I finished my career in construction, I decided I wanted to do something more in the community, and I decided that farming is something that I could do.
And how long have you been with that career change in farming?
About 10 years. I started volunteering with the local farms that were here, Mountain Bounty and River Hill. I spent a year with each one of those farms volunteering, and then I decided that I would start my own venture in the Living Lands Agrarian Network.
So tell us how that got started, the Living Lands Agrarian.
Well, it was really my first year farming by myself, taking on a whole acre, not really knowing how to farm, and then realizing how much it really took to be a farmer. And I'd done a lot of hard things in my life in construction, and farming was way harder than anything I ever taken on. Right. And about mid-season, I realized that this is really hard, and we've got to create a system that helps young people to be able to stay with farming and
Make
learn
sure
farming.
we've got the pipeline of farmers going.
Well, and have a network or have some assistance that we can help them as they struggle, and be there to help them at different times
Right.
when it becomes a problem.
When did the organization take off and start?
I think that was the second year, like 2007 or 2008. Someone came to us and said, you should be a nonprofit, and we didn't really know what a nonprofit was, but we thought this person was interested in helping us become a nonprofit, so we did he did all the paperwork for us.
Was that Tim?
No, that was a friend in the community that helped us with that. No, Tim came along just to help me farm.
And it was Tim Van Wagner.
Correct.
And he's got First Rain Farm.
Correct. He's graduated from the Living Lands program, and he's got his own farm now.
What are some of the trials and challenges as an organization that you've had over the past 5 or 6 years?
First of all, it's determining what the needs are of the community and what we need to provide for the young people. You know, it's kind of guessing in a way, but it's also, you know, spending time asking questions and trying to figure out what are their needs and how we can provide for them in Living Lands. You know, we started out with an internship program for several years, and it wasn't serious enough. We didn't get serious enough people that were interested, so that we went to more of a formal program. And this year we're doing a journeyman program that's like a second or third year intern program.
Well, talk a little bit about the intern program. How does that work?
Well, our intern program is through our nonprofit, and it was bringing young people into the community from all around the country, and it was putting them on our farm sites, having them look at different business arrangements that we had going on in our agrarian network, and have them work side by side with those farmers and work with multitude of farmers, you know, during the season, so they could see which questions they needed to ask which farmers. So they got a lot of different feedback.
Okay, tell us a little bit now about the Food Love Project, which is going on right now, and how did that evolve? And this is the 3rd year.
Well, the Food Love Project, it came about before even Amanda came into our lives. My oldest granddaughter was approaching starting school, and I realized after doing some adult education programs that it's really hard to teach adults new things, but it's really easy to teach young people. So I realized that instead of spending a lot of time with adults, that we would go into the schools. And
nice.
I had some connections with my wife and with the local schools to just go in and share what I was doing with them, and they really opened up to the idea, and now it's become really a popular idea. But Amanda came along three years ago in one of our intern programs, and she was really excited about that education aspect of teaching young people and starting out from scratch, of, you know, teaching kindergartners where their food comes from, and now we've got 5th graders that know where their food comes from and are really excited in the community to see farmers.
Yeah, get them really excited, and you can just feel it. To look at, just by the turnout tonight of this fundraiser shows the amount of support in the community. It's really great.
Well, you know, education in young people is really a popular thing right now, and people will, if you teach kids about food, they'll ask their parents then to buy that food that they tasted out at the farm or they planted out at the farm, and that's a really powerful thing to get kids to teach their parents.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Amanda, Gil Dominguez had a chance to talk with her at the event tonight, so we're going to get his interview with Amanda right now.
Thanks a lot, Cheryl. I'm here with Amanda Thibodeau, the coordinator and director of the Food Love Project. Amanda, thanks for being part of the Food and Farm Show.
Thanks for coming today.
Well, it is so exciting to be here and see all of the friends that Living Lands has. Oh, my goodness.
We're really excited. This is a great turnout. This is our 3rd soup night that we've had, specifically for the Food Love Project.
Now, what was the first one like?
Well, the first one was well attended, probably over 100 people, and it was in the Vets Hall, and I remember being really nervous that no one would show up, and I remember standing up and saying, you know, if 100 people donated $100, we could fund this. And then people started handing me hundreds of dollars, and my mind was just blown. And it was a beautiful start to what's been a really great legacy of this project.
Now, besides the wonderful food, and of course they'll be dancing tonight, the money is going for educational farming, right?
Absolutely. So our primary focus is farm to school education, and so we host field trips, service projects. Money generated tonight helps us to do that work. And you know, we have infrastructure projects that we're doing. We just got chickens, we just got a greenhouse. So we really need this support to be able to continue to increase the amount of education that we're doing and keep the quality as great as it is.
What's been the most satisfying thing for you?
For me, I think it's when kids come back and they go, "That's my chard, can I pick it?" Or they don't even say, "Can I pick it?" They go, "Oh, I'm going to pick that, that's my chard." Or, "Oh, that's my lettuce that I planted," and they feel ownership of it. And for me, that's the biggest thing. That's what I want to create.
So when you get the students back for the second or third semester or the second and third class, then they're really able to bring a lot more to the table.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have kids now who I've been working with, they're third graders, and I've been working with them since kindergarten. And so now they know how to plant seeds. They know everything, you know, and they're like, "I want to be a farmer when I grow up." And I'm like, that's the goal.
Now, what was your background with Living Lands? How did you get involved with that?
In 2010, I was an intern with Living Lands, so I interned in their program. And then after my internship was completed, I wanted to start an educational farm, and so I went to the Bear Yuba Land Trust and asked them if I could farm on their land, and they said yes. And that was my journeyman project, so that was 3 years ago. And it's amazing, time flies, and now it's a full farm. Now I had an intern last year who is the farm manager, and we have another intern, so we're 3 strong.
So farming has become your way of life then?
Absolutely.
Well, that's what Nevada County needs, is more young farmers. As we saw last week in Roger Ingram's report, the average age of the farmer in Nevada County is 57 years old.
Not in the future.
And not with the people you're hanging with.
Absolutely not. Everybody I know is a farmer.
All right, well, listen, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Congratulations on your Food Love project and your dinner tonight, a tremendous success right here. How can people get involved with Living Lands? And, of course, if they didn't come to the dinner tonight, they can still help support you financially, right?
Absolutely. So check us out online. So we're the livinglandsnetwork.org, and the Food Love Project is also on Facebook. There's ways to donate both material items, time, and any interest that you have. So you can find us online, and you can email me directly at foodloveproject@gmail.com if you want to connect or you have any questions or you're excited.
All right, sounds great. We look forward to doing some more segments with Living Lands and go out and visit all your farms.
Great. Thank you so much, Gil.
It's time now for our second break, and when we return, we'll go back to our series on backyard chickens with Janie Powers. You're watching the Touchdown Productions Network, the Food and Farm Show.
Since 2009, Creative Coops has been committed to helping people live a more sustainable lifestyle. Their chicken coops are made right here in Grass Valley. Their innovative design allows for easy expansion for 3, 6, or 10 chickens. Creative Coops keeps your chickens safe from predators, are well ventilated, with spacious nesting boxes, making backyard chickens fun for the whole family. It's Creative Coops, bringing backyard chickens to your home.
Spring is here. Time to visit the Garden Center at A to Z Supply. We have everything you need to plant it, grow it, preserve it, and eat it. With a master gardener and full-time beekeepers on staff, the Garden Center carries a wide selection of organic plants, along with people and pet-friendly products. And don't forget our weekly workshops at the Garden Center at A to Z Supply.
Introducing Cuvée Leather Kitchenware. Kitchenware that lasts a lifetime. Made from genuine leather suede, Cuvée kitchenware comes in a variety of colors and has been featured on the Food Network. Leather is the perfect kitchenware. It is a natural insulator, washable, and non-flammable. Cuvée Leather Kitchenware, Chefware, and Tableware. Unique kitchenware to complement your favorite place. Create, entertain, and be you.
Briar Patch Co-op Natural Foods Community Market offers organic produce from over 30 regional farms and buys local organic produce from farms like River Hill, Sweet Roots, First Rain, Pyramid, and Mooney Flat. You can trust the Patch to hold their producers to the highest standards and always be certified organic. So get to the Patch, the Briar Patch, for organic produce.
Welcome back to the Food and Farm Show. Time to go check in with Janie Powers and learn more about backyard chickens.
So let's talk a little bit about coops. Coops are very important because a coop protects your chicken, and they all need protection. Chickens are not the sharpest knives in the drawer, so it's up to you to protect them from the numbers of predators that are out there. What do you want from a chicken coop? And this is all in your handouts. First of all, you want to make it easy for you to clean, because the chickens will not grab a little tiny chicken broom and sweep it out for you. You want good drainage. You don't want your birds standing in the mud, because that will lead to foot infections. You want them to be protected. You don't want them out there in the cold wind in the winter or the broiling heat in the sun. You want something that's going to keep out rodents and birds and other predators. You want it well ventilated, because you don't want to go into a smelly chicken house, but at the same time you don't want it full of the draft so that the cold winter winds come in. Also, you want something that maintains an even temperature. So if you're building your chicken house from scratch, you can consider putting insulation in, and that way the temperature stays cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. You need a place for the chickens to roost. They are birds, so birds like to perch, and these guys do too. If you don't put a perch in there, then they sleep on the floor. They don't have any choice, but if they had a preference, they would like to perch. You want some place for them to lay their eggs. You want it to be light. They don't want to live in a cellar or a cave. And you want it to be sanitary. You want to keep your food and water clean, because a sanitary chicken house means that the chickens are healthy, and that's what you want. But keep it simple. No nooks and crannies, because remember, you're cleaning it. And if you built a cute little corner nookie over here for whatever reason, maybe you were thinking putting a TV set in that nook or whatever, you're going to have to be cleaning that nook. You want a chicken door that's about 10 inches wide so the chickens can go in and out. You need about 4 feet of space per bird, which can be smaller if you have a chicken yard to go with your chicken house. A covered yard is wonderful. Of course, we haven't had to worry about a lot of rain this year, but normally we do, and chickens do not like to go out in the rain. They will stay in the chicken house pooping. Means you get to have more poop to clean up. So if you have a covered chicken yard, they will go out during the weather, and it just sort of spreads the poop around, and they get out there and they get some fresh air. You want vents up at the top so the fresh air goes through, but it doesn't blow directly on the chickens. And you may want to consider a fan in the summer when we have those roasting hot July and August days. Okay, this is the Hen Hilton. This is the chicken house that my husband and my son built, and it is a wonderful chicken house. There you see the Hilton. You see on the left the people door. If you can possibly build a chicken house that you can go in and out, you will love it, because it's so much easier to clean and it's so easy to access the chickens. If you're building a smaller house, be sure that it has a big enough door either on the top or the side that you can open it up so you can access it to clean it, because you do not want to be trying to clean a chicken house through that little tiny 10-inch door. If you notice on the right, there's a stained glass window, so you can add all kinds of goodies to your chicken house. This is a view of the outside chicken house, and you can see it does have a covered yard. So this means that the girls can go out in even the worst kind of weather and peck around. Here's one that I got off the internet. This is a small chicken house, probably about the size of for a couple of chickens. Notice it has, on the left-hand side, it has a door that can open up so you can kind of scrape out the chicken yard. And I can't tell, but my guess is that the yard probably can be separated from the house. At least that's the way I would have it if I did it, so that you can move it around if you need to. And you can be creative with your chicken houses. You know, they can be cute. Remember, the inside is simple for the girls and guys to live in. The outside is your part. You can do whatever you want to it. You can create it, you can paint it to match your house color, you can do whatever you want to. Have some fun with it. Why not? This one has plants growing on the roof. That's a little bit different. This one I really like. This was made from an old storage shed that the people had on the back of their property, and they said, hey, why not make this into a chicken house? And look what they've done with the yard. They have this nice door in the back. They have this long yard.
Thanks, Janie. We'll see you next week for another edition of Backyard Chickens right here on the Food and Farm Show. Time for our final break of the day, and please try to remember to thank those sponsors when you go visit them in their stores. They make it possible for us to bring you the Food and Farm Show each and every week right here. So now let's get off to the break. When we come back, it's part 1 of our series of propagation over at Anything Green Hydroponics with Daryl Jew. You're watching the Food and Farm Show. Since 2009, Creative Coops has been committed to helping people live a more sustainable lifestyle. Their chicken coops are made right here in Grass Valley. Their innovative design allows for easy expansion for 3, 6, or 10 chickens. Creative Coops keeps your chickens safe from predators, are well ventilated, with spacious nesting boxes, making backyard chickens fun for the whole family. It's Creative Coops, bringing backyard chickens to your home.
Spring is here. Time to visit the Garden Center at A to Z Supply. We have everything you need to plant it, grow it, preserve it, and eat it. With a master gardener and full-time beekeepers on staff, the Garden Center carries a wide selection of organic plants, along with people and pet-friendly products. And don't forget our weekly workshops at the Garden Center at A to Z Supply.
Introducing Cuvée Leather Kitchenware. Kitchenware that lasts a lifetime. Made from genuine leather suede, Cuvée kitchenware comes in a variety of colors and has been featured on the Food Network. Leather is the perfect kitchenware. It is a natural insulator, washable, and non-flammable. Cuvée Leather Kitchenware, Chefware, and Tableware. Unique kitchenware to complement your favorite place. Create, entertain, and be you.
Briar Patch Co-op and Natural Foods Community Market offers organic produce from over 30 regional farms and buys local organic produce from farms like River Hill, Sweet Roots, First Rain, Pyramid, and Mooney Flat. You can trust the Patch to hold their producers to the highest standards and always be certified organic. So get to the Patch, the Briar Patch, for organic produce.
Getting your seeds and plants to grow can be tricky. Daryl Jew has many years of experience as part of Ag Unlimited Organics. Gil Dominguez had a chance to catch up with him prior to his workshop on propagation.
Thanks a lot, Cheryl. We're here at Anything Green Hydroponics, where we had our show last week, getting ready to talk to Daryl Jew, who is putting on the workshop today for propagation. Daryl, thanks so much for joining us here on the Food and Farm Show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, what's your background in this kind of work?
Well, I graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in horticulture. I've been doing this for about over 13 years as a pest certified advisor and as an ag biologist with the state of California.
Well, that's some pretty extensive knowledge then. This is really a lot of fun for you to come out and actually talk to the community.
Yes, it is. I enjoy it a lot.
And what's the number one question that you get out here when you're doing these propagation workshops?
Probably how to get my plant to grow faster, how to get the seed up.
People just aren't patient anymore.
No, they're not.
But actually, there are some ways that you can artificially stimulate the growth, but ultimately the plant's going to do what the plant does.
Yes. We're actually just giving that plant, that seed, the environment to help itself, grow faster.
Now, in giving the workshop, do you find people have apprehension? They're afraid to try different things?
Yes, people by nature, I feel if something's working, they don't want to change. But I think this class will help give some people some ideas, and hopefully at least one person out of this group will maybe try something new, and maybe we can get them to be more successful in germinating their plants.
Now, you're going to be talking about starting from seed and propagating from plants. I had no idea that you could take part of a tomato plant and grow another tomato plant.
Yes, we will be going over that.
Now, is that's not the preferred way to do your tomato garden, is it?
Well, it depends. If we want more than one plant and we already have a plant, this might be the method.
Is that going to be a faster way instead of just starting a seed for a second plant to get a cutting off of one?
Seed's still the best way to germinate a plant because it's going to grow faster. It's going to grow more vigorous than cutting.
Right, and then you're going to do seeds a couple different ways. A lot of people, they'll get a seed and then they'll stick it into the ground and wait for it to come up. But you have another method that you like.
Yeah, I'm going to show the class how we can grow the seeds on a paper towel on a heating pad, and to get that seed to germinate faster.
So lots of great information coming to you here today from Anything Green Hydroponics. Darrell Jew about to give his workshop on propagation. Thanks so much for joining us here for a few minutes, and good luck with your class, and thanks for being on the Food and Farm Show.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Hi class, my name is Darrell Jew, and I'm here to present to you guys on how to propagate and how to sow some seeds and make this the most easiest possible for you. Today, let's first start into propagating seeds. So what we got here, we have a seed mix. We have a soil media, peat moss, perlite, and then it's been pH balanced with lime. So as you can see this, it's really dry. So we're going to need to put some moisture in this for the seeds. And I'm going to pass this around to you guys so you guys have an idea of the moisture level that you're going to need for when you do your seedlings. So that's soaking in. Let's go over a heating mat and why you need a heating mat when you're doing the seedlings. It's a heating mat for you. And what this will do when you have your seeds in here, this will warm up this pot here. Give this environment in here, keep it about 68 degrees, which is about the optimum temperature to get seeds to pop for you. Break out of that seed, out of that, let me show you here. Out of that shell right there. So what we're going to do, and depending on your seeds, most seed packs have a depth right there that you're going to follow. So we're going to follow that depth, which this one's probably about 1/4 of an inch. So we'll put our seeds in there.
So you just use one pot for a bunch of seeds?
Excuse me?
Do you just use one little pot for a bunch of seeds?
Yeah, I'll just do that. I'll just make you can make a divot like this, put your seeds in there, and I'll pinch the seeds like this, and I can usually, by rolling my fingers, I can usually drop one seed. These seeds are really small, and I apologize for that. Or if you're in a rush, some people will just make a row in there and drop the seeds in. But you also can just put your finger in there, drop the seed in, close it up. Once that's done, it's on the mat. What you can use to keep the moisture in is a humidity dome. Put a cover like this on it. They'll usually have some vents right there. You can open and close, and what will happen over time with this mat being plugged in for moisture, you should see, if everything's correct, if you had this full a pot. There we go. It should start to steam up, and that's what you want. You want to start building that humidity in there and the temperature. When you're doing that, you should get the correct environment.
You ever run like water droplets? Does that mean you have too much moisture in there?
The water droplets off of this?
Yeah, a lot of like it's just wet.
If you're, it's going to be, when you have that in there, the heat from this is going to vaporize that water and have that water come up in here. You should be getting it like that. If it gets to where it's dripping, open these vents up or make more slits in there. Because the idea is to keep these seeds in this soil media moist. You don't want it, the last thing you want to do is have this, see how much water I'm putting in there? It's going to be dripping out. I'm going to let this soak. What's going to happen when you see that this pot is so saturated with water that it can't hold any more water where it's floating on top for your seedlings, that's what you don't want on a consistent, where it's always like that, where it's just waterlogged in there. What you're going to have a problem with your seeds is called damping off. What you're going to get, you're going to get a fungus that's going to develop in that, because that's the environment that it can thrive in for you. So if you feel this now, this right here, and I'm going to pass this around, you'll feel that this right here is probably, excuse me, yeah, I'm just going to pass it around. It's probably where you want to be right there. If you feel that, put your finger in there. You're going to want to be able to put your finger in a pot when it's completely full. When you need to rewater that container, in most plants, about a digit, about so right there. You put it in, you pull it out. If your finger's dry, you're going to need the water if it's completely bone dry. Now, if your finger is, you pull it out and your finger is completely wet, hold off on watering. If the tip is just wet, you're going to want to water. So there's a big difference here on that. Now I will show you another trick that I like to do with seeds. You can grow them right in those pots like that, or if you have time and effort, you can take your seeds, and this applies to most seeds. What I like to do, sprinkle them out on a piece of, thank you, paper towel, moisten it. As you can see, this will be wet, not dripping wet, but moist. Put that right over the seeds. And again, I'll use a heating mat to get those seeds to pop. Usually, in this environment, you can speed up the germination rate on your seeds to probably, on most seeds, about 48 hours. You can actually start to see the seed break right out of the seed pod out of there, and you'll see the taproot come out, and then you get your upper leaves. And then you'd probably want to put a humidity dome or something over there to keep that humidity in there for you. There are also other products out there that you can put on to get some of these seedlings to take off even faster. A lot of products like this one will have sea kelp in there, which is known to have cyanokinins and auxins, which when that root breaks out of that seed pod, it's searching for nutrients and moisture. It's still pulling that from that seed pod, but once that root hits that, it's getting additional nutrients. So you can use a sea kelp to pull that up. A lot of these products here people also use some B1 Super Thrive as well to help that.
Is that something you would mix in the water and just spray on there?
Yeah. Yeah, excuse me, yes. You could take this, you could take these, there's directions on here. It'll show you. What you'll do is you'll just mist that on, you'll get it going. Once these are up, once these seedlings are up, you're going to have, that's the seed. Right here, you're going to have that taproot popping out, right there. And somewhere right here, you'll have your apricot leaves popping out too. Gets to about this stage right here. It's where you're going to take this, and you're going to want to grab that seedling. You never want to touch this root here. This is, if you break this off, you're going to kill this whole plant. So what we like to do is we like to pick it up from the apricot leaves right there. And the reason being is these will fall off in time. So if you break those, that's no big deal. So you'll take that from that point, and this is a little bit more work. You're going to put a little divot, like I've showed you, put it right in there, close it up around the seed, make sure the media is moist, put it under a dome for about, I'd say about a week or so. Should start to see this plant start to shoot up new growth. During that time, you can put in a very low rate of fertilizer. And what I suggest on anything you're starting with seedlings, you want, there's NPK. First number is in a fertilizer is your nitrogen. Second is your phosphorus, and let's put a 10 there. And the next one is your potassium. For what we're doing here during the seedling stage, we want these two numbers to be a little bit higher than the nitrogen, but low when we're doing a seedling. A 10, you don't want to go any higher than 20 on this. And if you use a fertilizer with a 20 or higher, if you are using that, I suggest you go a quarter of the rate of what's suggested on the container. You can always add more fertilizer, but once you put it in the container, you can't take it out, or it's really hard to do. So we're going to put a little bit of, when we feed this, we're going to put just a little bit of potassium, a little bit of phosphorus in this plant. And that's going to help strengthen this root zone right here and get this going. And then later on, when we get probably, I would say, on the plant, somewhere halfway to this stage where we get the 3 or 4 new growth here. From this, if we cut this plant off, from this point, we're going to go ahead and bump up our nitrogen to get this, because it's going to need more nitrogen to make food to produce chlorophyll. So we're going to bump that number up on this plant probably to a 15 or 20% in your nitrogen to get it going. And I suggest on most things, use a balanced fertilizer, NPK, and then with your micronutrients too, when you're at this stage. At this stage of the plant, it's using the food source in this seed here. There's a food source, there's carbohydrates, what have you. It's not so critical to pull your micronutrients because it has it at that stage. So that's why you'll see when you have a starter fertilizer, you're not going to have your micronutrients. But later on in this stage of the plant, you will need your micronutrients in there. And you'll see a micro package on your fertilizer. Any questions?
When you plant the seed, do you keep the little green leaves out of the soil, or you bury them?
Yeah.
With the seed?
When you plant your seed, depending on what kind of seed it is, let's say it's a bulb. So we have a bulb. And bulbs usually are shaped, we'll have them, and I apologize for my my artwork here. You'll have a little point right here. Usually you'll have this on your bulbs, corms, what have you. Rule of thumb, you want to plant this up. If you don't know, you can always take this and plant it. Hold on here, guys. Sideways in the pot. So you can plant this in your container or in the dirt sideways or up. Now with seeds, also most seeds will more or less have that shape. Some are completely round, what have you. But you can, that's a good rule of thumb. A lot of the small seeds, it's going to be really hard to point that up. A lot of these small seeds, you're going to find that you're going to put these on the surface and then put just enough soil to cover it. I mean, we're talking probably just a thin little layer about that. And you should be, it should come up pretty well. Some people do believe when you're planting seeds to soak them overnight in water and then plant them. That does work. What that does, that will take this seed shell right here, it softens it, the water comes in here and tells that seed, okay, there's moisture, go ahead, shoot out your root. And that will also help you germinate that seed quicker. It depends if you guys want to throw it in a container and do that. Me, I'd rather just do it this way and I'll get my seeds going. Now, light requirement for these, not so critical when we're at this stage. You could basically almost put this into the closet when the roots are shooting out, as long as it has warmth. And then probably once it starts shooting out that cotyledon leaf, you're going to want to give it some light. You don't want to give it full sunlight, but just some partial shade. Yes? Oh, okay.
I got a question about like peppers.
Yes.
I have a tough time with those. Yeah, they seem to have a really hard shell or something, and they take forever to germinate. Is that pretty common for them? Or?
It can be, depending on what kind of pepper it is. So again, with something that's going to be really hard to germinate, that seed coat, that shell over that seed, yeah, you're going to want to probably soak that in some water overnight, or put it on a moisture on a napkin or what have you. Apply some heat to it, and it'll probably germinate a lot faster than just throwing it in soil for you.
Yeah, because I know the fresher seeds seem to come up a lot quicker than, say, it had something from a year ago. Those don't germinate very readily at all.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Some seeds, because you're using this food source, the seed, when it's in the seed form, when it's like this, has a food supply for only so long. Once this is used up, that seed's going to die. That's another thing. So when you look at your seed packs, you're going to find an expiration date on there. And one of the things, If you get something that's expired, it might have already used up all its carbohydrates in that seed. So the plant isn't going to germinate out of there, and that seed's probably going to be dead. Any other questions? Okay. Let's go into doing cloning or cuttings. Right here is a tomato plant that I have. And what we're going to do is we're going to want to take our cuttings from this plant. Let me see if I can remove, well, I can't remove this. You have your top new growth. This is your old growth, or really not your old growth, but because you have new growth here, but this is the older part of the plant. And this is the juvenile part of the plant, midsection of the plant. And when you guys, now usually when we take cuttings on a plant, we usually like to take it from the midsection where they consider this a juvenile growth. And the reason for it, this new growth here, it hasn't developed all the cells. And usually when you take cuttings from this section, for the most part, you don't get a good rooting. It doesn't root too well. There's less likely it's going to take off. Your best chance is in this midsection, in the juvenile section right here. And what we're going to look for when we take a cutting, we take off a branch, we want to take 3 nodes from our cutting. So a node, when we look at this, is right where it branches off. Right here, these are nodes. Let me get you something bigger here. Here we go. Here we go. These are the nodes right here. And what's so significant about that, this is where all your cells for the plant to reproduce its roots or to shoot new branches off, this is where it differentiates right there in these nodes. So I would like to see, when I do cuttings, when I take them, I like to have at least 3 of these. And then I like to take a cutting with a thick stem versus something really small like this. And the reason behind that is there's a lot more stored energy in this big leaf than in this. This would probably die off when I put it in my media. Now, what I will say when we do this, so we have leaves like this, but we have no roots. So there's no way to keep this thing from drying up. So what we do, we like to do on something with big leaves, and don't feel like you're hurting the plant. Take the leaves. What I like to do and cut them in half. And why we're cutting these leaves in half is because of transpiration. We're cutting down on transpiration of this plantlet or stem. So it's about the surface area of that leaf right there. It's connected to the stem right here. We have no roots. Those are gone. So there's no way for this to keep moisture in it. So that's why we cut those off. Cut those leaves in half so we can keep the moisture in the stem right here. So when we put it in, let's say rock wool, or let's even say if you wanted to put it in just regular water to get the root off, some people will do that. You're going to want to do that just to keep that alive. Now, you can use, when you do this, root dip materials. There's different types out there. And you can use sea kelp, a sea kelp product that's organic too. So what we would do is we would open this, dip this in there, put this again in this block, or let's say a media, like a peat that's moist. You could do it like that too. Get this over here. Do something like that. And then from here, what we would do, put a dome over it. Again, the dome, what this is doing again is keeping that moisture in the plant, but also keep that environment warm and keeping the plant from wilting. Any question? Yes.
So now if you're putting it in the soil media, what you want to do is take the leaf off.
Yep. I'm sorry.
All the way up to where you're going to be planting it in the soil, and then if you're putting it in just that little block, you don't have to take that leaf off?
You should put this right there.
And then leave those lower leaves on. The roots are going to start on the, where, on that one that you're putting in that little block?
This one?
Yeah, the roots are going to come out where?
You know, your roots, if you're putting it into a media like that, what's going to happen when we're dipping that in there, you're going to get a little bit of a dieback on this. And I apologize. Usually when I cut this, I'm going to get about, I'd say, a 1/4 to 1/2 inch dieback. This is going to die back right here. So plan on that. Then from here, you're going to get your roots shooting out.
Okay.
So this is going to be down in there. I just couldn't push it all the way down, I'm sorry.
You just leave the leaves on those lower ones then?
You can take them off. You can also get if it differentiates right here, that's where all the cells are for it to differentiate from the roots to leaves to your branch to your stems. So you can break that off, but you want to do it right there. I've seen it grow right there, come out, but I've also seen it come out right here too. Yeah, and you'll have idea when you stick that in there.
But when you put it in the soil media, you want to take the leaves off?
Same thing.
Or either way?
Either way, your media, both medias here are acting, one as an anchor to keep the plant in there, but then it's also acting as keeping that environment for the plant. Both of these are going to serve the purpose of keeping moisture on these stems right here, and to create an environment for this to root. Right here I have a node right there, have a node right there, have a node right there, so I have 3. I wouldn't be afraid to, how I cut my leaves. These are kind of small, so I could probably get away with it. But I do have flowers on there. I would take these flowers off because that's energy that I don't want this plant to flower. I want to induce this to shoot out new growth. So I'd pinch off, as you can see right there, the flowers. Put that right in there. Put in my rooting hormone if you like, what have you. Stick it right in there. And about that depth in there. About probably, I'm planting that far into the soil. And I would do the same thing in this block.
What is that block?
This is rock wool. So it's just a different media. People like to use it because it's a block. You can stick your plants in there. You also have these right here too, which is a kind of a foam material, I believe. Let me get this out. And some of these also have get this bag open. Mycorrhizae, and might even have some rooting hormone already injected in. So I'd push that all the way in, put it in there.
And then you could just plant that whole thing?
Yes.
And the other one too?
Yeah. Now, when you use something like this, a different media, and you're going into this kind of media right here, a peat moss or natural dirt, and you're coming in from a plug, and there are two different, these are obviously 3 different medias right here. You need to make sure one of these media is either going to dry out faster or keep too much moisture in when you're putting it in. So the most important thing, I would say, when this is rooted out, is to put this, I'm going to make a mess here. I'm going to exaggerate just a little bit, but this is probably what I would want to see.
It's sticking out.
If you look at that, it's sticking out probably a quarter to half an inch from this soil level. And the reason behind that, if this plug's holding on too much moisture, it's going to dry out. It has a chance to dry out from this media because we need to balance that out. What happens is, what I've seen is this will rot out on you. And sometimes you get this root coming out and it's growing really great, then all of a sudden, right around this crown, you'll get a fungus come in, a pathogen, what have you, and just rot it out. And you don't have a plant. And same thing with the rock wool. Something about like that. You just want to be able to see this, and you want to be able to have that up just a little bit, the interface. And that goes with basically with all your potted plants. Even when you're going in your garden and you're doing something like this, you want to keep that up a little bit for that interface until these roots are able to break into that soil, till this breaks down enough to where it'll acclimate itself.
Well, that's our show for tonight, and I'm really hungry now.
It all looks good, and it's a packed house, which is really good news for the project. And be sure to join in the conversation on the web, Facebook, Twitter, and you can find us on our website at thefoodandfarmshow.com. And that's it for this episode of the Food and Farm Show.
We'll see you next week at the Master Gardener's Composting Workshop, where, of course, we're going to learn all about composting. See you next time. Be sure to join us each week right here on NCTV Channel 11 at 6:30 to 7:30, and of course on our YouTube channel, The Food and Farm Show.